King goes over. And at this point, I'm totally committed, right? There's no going back. Okay, there's no stopping this pawn at this point. So I have to get checkmate. I have to get checkmate or get a queen or something. Otherwise, I'm just going to lose to a simple promotion over here. Hey guys, I have to show you the game that I just played because I had this absolutely incredible endgame where I've got the 3 passed pawns against the king and the knight, trying to stop them, but white has the passed pawn over here. My king is not sure if it should stay here, if it should go here and help the pawns. What do I do? It was crazy, and even the game leading up to this was pretty wild. I'm going to leave the timestamps on there so you can see how this time scramble finished. I'm going to leave the eval bar so you can see what Stockfish has to say, which ironically right now it thinks it's a draw. I'll go ahead and tell you it was not a draw, and well, let's take a look at what happened. So here we go. We had a Scandinavian. I played the Portuguese variation again. I've been playing this a lot lately in Blitz. Leads to some wild positions, which I've been enjoying. And here we go. H3 attacks my bishop. Now, here's a little trick for you guys. When somebody attacks a bishop like this, if you have your queen in play, what you can do is slide it over to H5. Stockfish doesn't like it. We'll talk about that in just a second. But you can slide it over to H5, and you actually pin the pawn so it can't take your bishop. If it takes your bishop, you get a free rook. Now, what white could have done is simply castle, and now it's threatening to take my bishop. My plan was going to be to sack the bishop, attack the king, and hope for the best. It's a blitz game, so you can kind of get away with that. Stockfish says, no, knight to G5, and white's winning, but I was going to do that. But my opponent didn't want to get attacked and decided to not castle, and instead played the move queen to C2 and started to set up to castle the other direction, just getting away from my attack altogether. Okay, so let's see, keep going. Bishop to D6, we traded these guys. Knight to D2, I doubled the rooks on the file here, and then they castled. Now, as soon as they castled queenside, something important happened in the position. Do you guys know what it is? All right, well, hopefully you said this pawn right here is now threatening to take my bishop, because if you remember earlier, the pin is no longer there, because now if I try to take that rook, it's defended. Okay, so castling was a very clever move in a sense because it renewed this threat on my bishop. So I did see that. I played bishop to F5, gaining the tempo on the queen here. All right, bishop to D3. I traded that and swung the queen over, trying to keep attacking the king, right? I totally missed white's response. If you would like to pause, what do you think white played here? Pretty obvious move. You got a chance to look at that. The move is knight to C4. Now, it's funny because knight to C4 is not the best move, but it is an obvious fork that I missed. Okay, totally missed it. But it's not as bad as it looks because I'm going to get the pawn on A2. I'm going to get the knight. So I'm essentially getting a knight and a pawn for a rook and an attack on the king, which actually is not a bad trade. And you can see the eval bar kind of agrees with that. It thinks it's pretty equal, okay? And one thing that's important about this position is that because I was able to capture that pawn, there's a weak square on B3. If there was no weak squares for my knights to invade on, the attack wouldn't be as strong. But because that pawn is gone, I have ideas like this, which is very, very dangerous for white's king. And that's why, you know, Stockfish says it's basically equal. Okay, let's keep going. Brings the rook over, knight to A5. Knight to D2, good move to defend against that threat. So now he would just trade. I brought the other knight in, and then queen to B1, trying to force my queen to either leave or offering a trade. Of course, I don't want to trade. I'm trying to attack. And so the only real move available for me, well, knight to B3 if I wanted to trade knights, but I'm trying to keep the pieces on the board until the right moment, and so I played queen A4. Okay, B3. It's a tricky position, but really none of this stuff works because this attack on my queen is too strong. I can also go check, but then he's just going to block, and I don't think that's very good for me. So I went back to C6. C4, I played knight to B4, super complicated position. I'm not going to get into all of it. And right here, I had a nice move, and I missed this one. If you want to pause, what do you think the Stockfish move is here? We got a chance to look at that. It's knight takes C4. And the reason I didn't want to do it was because I'm giving up this exchange with check. I'm like, that just seems like too big of a sacrifice to make. But Stockfish is saying, no. You take it with the knight, which also puts white in check. And now we have this super interesting position where we got the two knights against the two rooks. But I have a really nice attack on the king. And I have some extra pawns. After king here, you start going pawn hunting. I'm going to get some more pawns. And this would have been a really interesting position to play. So I'm kind of sad that I missed that. Although the way that the game turned out was great. So I can't complain. All right, so what did I do instead? Rook to D5. Now, this pawn is pinned, okay? Sorry about all the arrows here. Actually, maybe I'll turn that off if I can here. Feedback, can I turn that off? Let's see. Nope, I want the eval bar. Sorry about that. There we go. So, rook to D5. it's pinned. Okay, the pawn is pinned because my queen. And so I wanted to keep it in the action so that it could swing over this way. So that if I sacrifice the knight here, the rook is going to be involved. That's my idea. Okay, so here we go. Rook comes up. And I did take that and bring in the queen. All right, rook to c3 is a blunder because of my follow-up here. If you would like to pause, what move did I play next? All right, if you had a chance to look at that, the move is knight to a2 check. It's a fork on these guys. And I guess white missed that. And notice the time is starting to get pretty low here. So this is becoming a very critical moment in the game. I grabbed the pawn. We traded. He goes here. I played c6, just trying to kind of limit the options of the knight. Traded it off. And now we have a very interesting endgame. 7 pawns against 3 pawns and a knight. You can see Stockfish there likes black by a little bit, but I'm lower on time. And I kind of underestimated what my opponent was going to do and how powerful that was going to be. And I sort of messed up in the time pressure. So let's take a look. B5, king up. He goes here, and I probably realistically should have just ignored this. Just let it alone. Start pushing these guys as quickly as I can. The king can't stop him, right? My king and 3 pawns is going to be able to force a queen if I do it fast enough. But I started to kind of react to what white was doing. I actually played a pretty bad move if I just walked into a fork here. But they decided to take this one instead. Then I played here, and I had this awkward moment in the game where I'm like, okay, do I go for the knight and like stay over here, or do I go this way and start pushing? I didn't know what to do. And with 23 seconds, you can't like sit there and think about it. You got to just make a decision. So I decided to push that, and then I went over here. Then I went back this way. We did this little dance, and then I kept pushing. And this point, right here in the game, I got nervous and I got worried because I've now given white this passed h-pawn. And my king is not there to stop it, so that's not good. Also, white's king is perfectly positioned to slow these guys down. So I was feeling kind of scared, but I said, look, I'm kind of committed. Let me keep going. h4. And then I said, well, I'm not that committed. Let me bring my king over to stop the pawn. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. What's happening? And what do you guys think? I mean, just go ahead and pause for a minute. What do you think the idea is here? All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, I decided to go king e6. It says it's a miss, but Stockfish actually doesn't mind that move, so I don't know what's going on. Basically, at this point in the game, I decided, look, I'm going to commit to going for checkmate over here. I've got the pawns ready to go. I need the support of the king. Even if white is going to get a queen, let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. Hopefully in 4 moves with some tempos from checks from the pawns is what I was thinking. And my king, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 1 or 2 pawn. Hopefully I can get checkmate. All right, that was my thought process. So let's see what happened. King to e6. The knight comes in. Check. King comes up, and it's kind of with the tempo on the knight. If white wants to save that, they don't have to. They could have just pushed this, I guess. But they wanted to save it, which I think was the right decision. And Stockfish agrees. This was the best move. Otherwise, I'm just going to lose to a simple promotion over here. Okay? h5. King to b4. Knight to d2. That was the critical mistake. If white plays knight to d5 here, I'm just lost. And I guess the idea is after king here, now they just abandon it and get the queen, and I'm too slow. Okay? But in the game, knight e2 was played. I played c3, h6. And what do you think the continuation is here for black? And I actually messed this up in the game, but go ahead and pause. What's the solution here? All right, if you had a chance to look at that, there's an absolutely incredible checkmate here. A2 check. The king can't go this way because you simply get a queen with checkmate. So the king has to go in the corner, and then you can play, and hopefully you guys saw this, king to a3, and guess what? There's no way to stop checkmate. You can push this pawn and get checkmated. You can take this and get checkmated. You can move your knight somewhere else if you want and get checked. There's no way to stop it. I don't think I've ever done this in a game before. A forced checkmate with 2 pawns like this, using my king to support them. It's just wild. It's wild. And unfortunately, I didn't play that. I mean, I had 6 seconds. I had to make a decision, and I don't know if for some reason my brain just thought that C2 was the better option. So I played C2. Now, the good news for me is it's still checkmate. The bad news is it's mate in 10, and it's not that cool, although what happened in the game was kind of nice, because my opponent is low on time too, right? So I played A2. I should have paused there. Sorry about that. He goes here. Now, if you want to pause, what's the finishing touch here? All right, if you had a chance to look at that. The move is A1 queen. He has to take, and then king to A3. And look at this again. I'm missing a pawn this time here, but it's still checkmate because this guy. And it's the same situation. What's white going to do? You push this, you get checkmated again. How's that for, I mean, that's kind of even cooler, I think. And then, of course, you can move your knight somewhere, but it doesn't matter. It's still checkmate. There's no checks with the knight. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. So cool, right? Now, that didn't even happen in the game. So I've showed you the 2 cool checkmates. What happened in the game was here, I moved my king because in my brain I'm thinking, if I get the queen, I can't get the other queen, the knight's sitting there. That's what I was thinking. So I'm like, and I sort of like panicked. I'm like, I got to move my king and go for this. He gets the queen. I take here, and it's not over because he has a queen. But watch what happens. Check. Moved here, and he's got 9 seconds to figure out what to do with the queen. What do you guys think? Go. You have 9 seconds. You're white. What do you play? All right. Well, if you had a chance to look at that, I think that was less than 9 seconds. But queen H1. That's all he has to do. Just go here. Cover both of these, and he's got it. He's got it. Plays here instead. And how did I finish off the game? That's correct. I went here, got a queen. Now, if he goes here, he survives longer. But he actually just... Oh, that's not what happened in the game? What happened? Oh, sorry. I played this one. My bad. I played this one. He took it and I did... Okay, that's what happened. I forgot. Anyway, absolutely incredible game. Unfortunately, I didn't see the pawn checkmates. That would have really made me feel nice, but I was happy to get the win with 2 seconds on the clock. Absolutely insane game when you think about how we ended up here. I hope you guys enjoyed that and can appreciate that ending. Not something you see every day. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you guys, and as always, stay sharp, play smart, and take care.